We are a week away from Jamahal Hill versus Khalil Rountree in Azerbaijan. Out of all places, this may be the most random place the UFC could have gone for a fight night, but it should be interesting. Rafael Fiziev is on this card. He is from Azerbaijan. That's going to be the people's main event. He's going to get quite the boost from his crowd. And I'm really looking forward to this. This is a stacked fight night. This is what I'm talking about. All right, this is a great card. I'm excited to give my breakdown and predictions for every single fight on this card. But before we get into it, it's only June 13th, which means you've still got yourself at least a month to get in decent shape. You're not going to look like Yoel Romero by the end of the summer necessarily, but if you get on my ultimate lifting program, or if you've got no idea what you're doing in the gym and you hop on that novice lifting program and you're a beginner, you're gonna get some results, and you will learn principles of strength training that you will keep and hold on to for the rest of your life. So if you're interested in packing on some muscle and you've been in the gym for a couple of years, maybe you've hit a plateau and you want to break through that plateau, I guarantee you my ultimate lifting program will help. And if you're a beginner and you have no gains and you want to get some results fast, the novice lifting program is for you. So make sure to check those out and make sure to use code MMA for 30% off. By the way, the link to those programs are in the description. Let's get into it. Irina Alekseeva versus Klaudia Sygula.
I'm going to go with Klaudia Sygula. I really like all the work that she's been doing down there in Coconut Creek, Florida, training with American Top Team. Irina Alekseeva has been training in the gym, and I've definitely seen some improvement with the boxing with the hands.
But I'm going to go with Klaudia Sygula. I really like the long-rangey kicks. I like the long-rangey weapons. I'm going to pick Klaudia Sygula to win this one. Let's get on to the next one. The real TKZ. Seokhyeon Ko, the real, wasn't the guy Ju Sang-yo. So we got Ju Sang-yo last week, and now we're getting Seokhyeon Ko versus Oban Elliott. Slowbon Elliott. That's what I was calling him, Slowbon Elliott, up until his last performance against Basil Hafez, and he looked really improved. I'm going to pick Oban Elliott. The thing is, Seokhyeon KO, he's got the, KO in his name. He's got KO power. He's dangerous. But he's also been finished a few times by brutal KO. And I'm looking at Oban Elliott's really improved striking, his improved speed. He's got really good long-rangey kicks now, just knocking out a tough guy in Basil Hafez. We know he has a good ground game. He's a solid grappler. I just think he's a little bit too well-rounded. He's got that UFC experience. He's already showing signs of rapid improvement. And I think that he's going to go out there and finish Seokhyeon KO by, I'm going to say the first round. I'm going to go with Oban Elliott, first or second round KO. I think Seokhyeon KO will make this a firefight early, but I think he'll come up short to Oban Elliott. So let's get on to the next one. Hamdy Abdelwahab versus Mohammed Usman. I've been training with, what is going on? Can I get these guys to appear on the screen? What is going on here? Come on. Oh, here we go. Hamdy Abdelwahab versus Mohammed Usman. I was actually talking to Hamdy, and we were actually discussing his last fight. He had a very lackluster fight. I forget who he fought, but this was after a long layoff. He did pop. He did pop for PEDs, and he looked really good, really explosive. And then he came back, and he looked a little bit mediocre. Totally different version of the guy that we saw early on in his UFC career, where he was sort of blowing people out of the water. He now seems to be at that Mohammed Usman level. I think this is going to be a very even fight, given that Hamdy is on that same level these days. He's sort of deteriorated quite a bit. Mohammed Usman coming up short to Peterson, and I think Hamdy Abdelwahab just beat him, or he beat someone similar to Peterson. Either way, I'm going to go with Hamdy. Mohammed Usman is very mediocre, and I think that even though Hamdy has declined quite a bit, he was still able to get past the Peterson kind of heavyweight, whereas Mohammed Usman has taken an L to the Peterson kind of heavyweight, and Usman just doesn't really have anything that stands out. He's got a very basic heavyweight game. He's not an NPC because he is Kamaru Usman's brother, So we know that he is a real person. You know, we've seen him walk out with Kamaru Usman. But when he gets in that octagon, you sort of forget, right? He sort of morphs into what we're used to seeing in the heavyweight division on Apex cards, which is just, you know, someone that's overweight, that has okay volume, and they've got thud when they land punches. But again, they're just not knocking anyone out. They're not subbing anyone on the ground. So I'm going with Hamdy Abdelwahab. I think he's just a step ahead of Muhammad Usman. I think his wrestling is a step ahead of Usman's. I think his striking is basically on par, but I just think he'll run away with the win. 6-0, 11-4 Muhammad Usman. I'm going with Hamdy. Let's get on to a real fight. Melissa Mullins versus Daria Zhelezniakova. I'm going with Melissa Mullins. Okay, Daria just looks like she's not built for fighting necessarily, man. She's looking too good. She's not built for fighting. Okay, I'm gonna go with Melissa Mullins. She looks to, be a little bit more of a tough cookie, man. Daria, she might go out there. She might throw some kicks. She might throw some kicks like Manon Fiorot. But I'm going to go with Melissa Mullins, right? She's got a little bit of that tough cookie stance, right? She looks like, Daria looks like she's wearing a Halloween costume, okay? She looks like she's dressing up as a UFC fighter. Melissa Mullins looks like a UFC fighter, all right? She's 7-1. That's a little bit of a better ratio than 9-2. 68-inch reach, same reach, basically the same height. Yeah, man, this is a real tough one, man, but I don't know. All right. I could be wrong. I haven't seen either of them fight. So let's get on to the next one. Ismail Naurdiev versus Junyong Park. This is about as easy as it gets, okay? I'm loving myself a Junyong Park showcase, show out performance. He's going to go in there and destroy Ismail Naurdiev. Now, do not be fooled by the EV at the end of Ismail Naurdiev's name, all right? This guy was in the UFC like 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and then for whatever reason, he stopped competing and stopped fighting for like 4 years. Maybe he was plagued by injuries, but he came back, and his comeback was UFC 308, Abu Dhabi card, Holloway Topuria, and he fought Bruno Silva, who we know is completely washed at this point, and had a pretty average Joe Schmo decision where he just sort of got past Bruno Silva just a little bit. Didn't look really special. And sure, ring rust definitely played a part. I'm guessing we're going to get a better version of him. But Ismail Naurdiev, 24-7, this is not one of these guys from Dagestan or whatever that you see, and they're just taking everyone down. No one can deal with the grappling. And by the time they get to the top 5, top 10, they only have one loss on their record, and they've just been able to get past everyone. Like, he's just kind of mid, in my opinion. He's okay. He's mid for the Dagestanis. But Junyong Park is a master at imposing his will. He's a tough man, and he's got a really good snappy jab. He's very durable. The last guy to beat him was Gregory Rodriguez and Andre Muniz, but that was a robbery. He should have beat Andre Muniz. That doesn't count. Andre Muniz won based on control time, but Junyong Park actually beat the shit out of Andre Muniz. Either way, his last real loss was to Gregory Rodriguez, who is a monster on the ground. Gregory Rodriguez took Junyong Park down and finished him on the ground, but on the feet, Junyong Park is very good. He breaks people with his pressure and cardio. He's not afraid to get scrappy. As I said, he's got a really good piston-like jab. And on the ground, he has himself a really solid submission game, too. He's got a good rear naked choke. We've seen him get quite a few submissions. And I think he's just going to go out there, put the pace on Ismail Naurdiev, and break him. And again, Junyong Park, he's been in the UFC for a while. Every time this guy fights, he puts up a solid fight, a solid effort. And I'm looking at Ismail Naurdiev, and this guy is looking like he's sleepwalking out there sometimes. So I'm going to go with the guy that has proven that he can impose his will, that proves that he will move forward, put a pace on someone. He has a good jab. He's got good grappling fundamentals. I'm just picking him. He's more well-rounded. He's a dog, too. So let's get on to the next one. Tagir Ulanbekov. And I'll pick that by decision. I think Junyong Park gets it done by decision. Tagir Ulanbekov versus Azat Maksum. This is interesting because Azat Maksum has been super inactive since his loss to Charles Johnson, which was a weird one because he dropped Charles Johnson 2 times in one round, and I thought that may have been a 10-8. Maybe it should have been a draw. He's a pretty good striker, but I am going to go with Tagir Ulanbekov. I just think that Tagir, he's going to be the bigger guy in there. He's shown us that if things get tough, he can get the takedown. He's not this lights-out grappler, but he does have good control. He does have himself a couple submissions in the UFC. I think on the feet, he's kind of mediocre. He might be the worst striker out of every single one of the guys that is from Team Khabib. He's a flyweight, which is kind of crazy. You'd expect flyweights to, have some really quick dynamic striking. He is going to get outstruck, I will tell you that. Azat Maksum will outbox Tagir Ulanbekov and outstrike him. But Tagir Ulanbekov, he's going to be the taller, rangier guy. He will be able to have some success because of that. And ultimately, he will be able to get the takedowns, and he will be able to win this on control. I'm going to go with Tagir Ulanbekov by a nothing to write home about decision, okay? That's what I'm going with. Let's get on to this one. Now we're getting to the really exciting fights. Bogdan Grad versus Mohammed Naimov. I am going with Bogdan Grad, okay? He reminds me a lot of the Iron Turtle. He has a style where he does take a lot of damage, okay? He does get clipped quite a bit, but he goes out there, puts the pressure on you, and tries to break you. And we saw in his UFC debut, he did just that. He got the finish in the second round on the ground and pound TKO. In his Dana White Contender Series fight, he was getting pieced up early, but again, proved to have a granite chin, willingness to take damage, moving forward, constantly throwing strikes. The thing is with Mohammed Naimov, he has a lot of power in his hands. He's pretty big for the featherweight class. Like, he's very dense. But I don't know. It's just the level of competition that he's beating, the way that these guys are performing in front of him is not that good. When he did fight someone that was solid in Nathaniel Wood, it was very close. He dropped Nathaniel Wood early, and Nathaniel Wood's always had a bit of an iffy chin. I don't think he's going to drop Bogdan Grad. He might, because Bogdan Grad does get hit a lot, but he won that with a knockdown and a lot of cage grabs, and he was cheating a little bit in that fight. I don't think he's better than Nathaniel Wood. I think if him and Nathaniel Wood were to rematch, I think that you'd see Nathaniel Wood win. We've seen Mohammed Naimov lose to Felipe. I forget his name. Is it Felipe Dos Santos? That's not Felipe Dos Santos. It's Lima. Sorry. He lost to Felipe Lima. All right, there's like 1,000 Felipes in the same division. That was the Brazilian Dustin Poirier lookalike that subbed him. And I think he's better than Bogdan Grad, but I think Bogdan's going to edge himself out a decision. I just think Mohammed Naimov, he's one of these lower output guys that sort of relies on big moments. And again, you look at his fights with guys like Con Ofley, and Con Ofley was training with Adesanya. Con Ofley trains with Izzy. He sort of looks like Volk. He's Walmart Volk. He had a little bit of hype going into that fight. But Con Ofley just fought terribly. He looked so mediocre. He has no arms. He's got these T-Rex arms. Bogdan Grad is going to have a reach advantage. They have the same reach, actually. But I feel like Bogdan Grad's reach is longer than Mohammed Naimov anyway. What I'm trying to say is Mohammed Naimov is like barely scraping by Con Ofley. And Con Ofley is just not on the same level as Bogdan Grad. And Con Ofley has negative fight IQ. I don't remember what it was, but he did something in the third round that pissed me off while I was watching him fight Mohammed Naimov. Like, I think he was either shooting takedowns when he was finally getting success on the feet in the third round and he was down 2 rounds, or he was he was striking when he was finally, like, it was one of those things where he was finally having success somewhere and then he chose to do the opposite thing that wasn't working the entire fucking fight. No. I think what it was is that he was down 2 rounds or something like that. And they were like lackluster rounds. Not a lot was happening. And I think what Con Ofley was doing was he was wrestling in the third round, going for takedowns when he was clearly down in the fight. It's like, dude, you have to get a KO. Let your fucking hands go. Either way, I'm going with Bogdan Grad. I think that Mohammed Naimov, he had this big moment dropping Nathaniel Wood, and everyone's getting hyped on Naimov, and then he gets submitted by Felipe Lima. I don't think he's that great. I think he's above the low-level fighters in the featherweight division. I don't think he's I think this is going to be a scrap. I'm going with Bogdan Grad. He's going to make this a fight. He's going to force Mohammed Naimov to throw down. And I don't know if Mohammed Naimov's got a high output performance in him. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he's a guy that's going to throw with high output. So I'm going with Bogdan. He's a savage. All right, I'll go with Bogdan by decision, scrappy decision. Nazim Sadykhov versus Nikolas Mota, easy. Nazim Sadykhov is going to destroy Nikolas Mota. Nazim is a really solid fighter out of that Ray Longo gym, right? He used to train with Aljo, has trained a lot with Merab. He's pretty good. He was able to get past one of the Bonfim brothers, although it was a little bit of a weird situation. I think he won with a doctor stoppage or something like that. Either way, the fight before that, he was actually having a lot of success on the feet against Vyacheslav Borshev. He's got great kicks, very powerful kicks. He's got pretty powerful hands. He's got good grappling. We saw him get a submission in his UFC debut. Nazim Sadykhov is the better grappler. He's the better striker. Nikolas Mota, he's got himself some KO power, but Nazim should have every advantage in the book. He should have the height advantage, which he does. He actually doesn't have a reach advantage, but he's going to have an athleticism advantage. I mean, just look at these guys. Nikolas Mota looks like he could make bantamweight. Nazim Sadykhov, he could not make featherweight. So, and I know we talk about lighter man skill, but listen, Nazim Sadykhov, I think the head kicks are going to give Nikolas Mota problems. I could see him getting a finish on the feet with head kicks. Or, you know what? I could see him getting the takedown. He's got a good gas tank too, so I just think he's better everywhere. I'm going with Nazim. Let's get on to Curtis Blaydes versus Rizvan Kuniev. Rizvan Kuniev is sort of like the heavyweight division's Azamat Murzakanov, right? He looks like he's going to get his ass kicked. He looks like your average fat, tubby heavyweight, unassuming, but he's light on his feet and he's lightning fast and he has lighter man techniques, right? I've seen this guy throw spinning attacks. I've seen him mince people up in the clinch. I've seen him get a submission on the feet. The thing is, though, who is he beating? He's beating and submitting people in Eagle FC, the failed promotion that's taking the bottom of the barrel fighters from the world. And think about it. If you're a heavyweight and you're decent, you're fighting in the UFC. There are shit heavyweights in the UFC, okay? Now then think about the PFL's heavyweights. I know Rizvan Kuniev is a PFL guy, but think about Bellator and PFL and ONE FC. Rizvan Kuniev has highlights in Eagle FC against the biggest cans on the planet. So you have to take a lot of those wins with a grain of salt because he's fighting people that just aren't on the level of Curtis Blaydes. I know we talk about Blaydes as being plotty and he walks around like a zombie and he bends over at the hips. He has the least athletic takedowns of all time. But the people that are knocking this guy out and like beating him are Tom Aspinall, who is a phenom, who's once in a lifetime heavyweight, right? Probably the most dangerous human being on planet Earth, if not the most dangerous human being to ever walk the earth, okay? Who else has knocked out Curtis Blaydes? Looming huge heavyweights that are terrifying like Sergey Pavlovich. Curtis Blaydes always sort of freezes up against those guys. And again, Sergey Pavlovich, how tall is Rizvan Kuniev? 6'4"? He looks, dude, some of these guys, they're listed at 6'4". They look like they're fucking 6 foot. He's a pipsqueak compared to me, all right? But listen, I'm just joking around. You know, Sergey Pavlovich is the same height, basically, and has a fucking 83.5-inch reach. Or is it 84.5? Either way. You know, that's a guy with these, gangly arms that can catch you across the octagon with ridiculous power that Curtis Blaydes instinctually looks at and is like, dude, this guy hits hard. I don't know if I'm going to actually... Curtis Blaydes freezes up against those guys. He freezes up against those guys. And because of that, he can't shoot a fluid takedown. He shoots a takedown like an old man that, it's like, just picture an old Olympian. Picture, some of the old Olympians that competed in the fucking 60s and 70s in wrestling. Picture them going into their trophy room and having a Superman moment where they're reliving their glory days and they put on their singlet and they look at their trophies and then they start, doing takedown shadow boxing. Shadow takedowns. That's Curtis Blaydes. That's Curtis Blaydes when he's shooting a takedown against the power puncher. He's fucking shooting shadow takedowns like an old grizzled vet. like a fucking old vet that just walked in his trophy room reliving the glory days, and his family members walk in on him, you know, in his singlet shooting these shadow takedowns. And they're like, Grandpa, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? Those takedowns ain't fluid. That's Curtis Blaydes. Either way, who is he freezing up against? He's not even freezing up against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Listen, you want to talk about, Rizvan Kuniev, man. Rizvan Kuniev. He's knocking out Fajeda in the PFL. Whoa. Okay. Jairzinho Rozenstruik would KO him as well. Jairzinho Rozenstruik is a solid heavyweight. Shamil Gaziev is on a fucking win streak, dude. Shamil Gaziev is on a 2-fight win streak, and before he fought, he's 3-1 in the UFC, Shamil Gaziev. He beat Martin Budai, who's outside of his Gaziev loss, has won every other fight. I keep saying Jairzinho. Jairzinho Rozenstruik pieced up Shamil Gaziev. Shamil Gaziev in PFL would be fighting for belts. If Shamil Gaziev was in the PFL, him and Fajeda would have a fucking trilogy because of how competitive they would be. Curtis Blaydes is not getting KO'd by a guy even as good as Jairzinho, who's actually kind of solid, right? He's taken Jairzinho down. So Curtis Blaydes is not going to get subbed on the feet by Rizvan Kuniev. If you got Jilton Almeida running at you and he's even able to take you down, if Jilton Almeida takes you down 10 times in the first round and you don't get submitted, you're not getting submitted by Rizvan Kuniev. You're not getting submitted. I don't care if it's on the feet or the ground. So I think what we should at least establish first and foremost is that this is going to be a stand-up battle. Rizvan Kuniev can have his freaking Azamat Murzakanov type beat at heavyweight. He's not Azamat, okay? It's just that he's kind of reminds us of Azamat because he looks unassuming and he looks like a fat guy and he's kind of slick on the feet. Curtis Blaydes, his reach gives everyone issues. It even gave Tom Aspinall issues. Tom Aspinall talked about after his rematch with Curtis Blaydes that he was sort of surprised that Blaydes was able to catch him repeatedly before he knocked out Blaydes. He was saying, dude, I was surprised this guy was able to touch me on the chin as much as he was because he didn't seem very fast. I felt like I was getting out of the way, but again, he's got this long reach, 80-inch reach. It's not the longest reach, but Curtis Blaydes is just really good at extending on the straight punches. He's able to really make the most of his reach advantage against all of his opponents. He's really able to hit people with his 1-2s. And I think that Rizvan Kuniev is going to be at the end of Curtis Blaydes' reach. I think he's going to be getting caught with the jab. I think he's going to be getting caught with 1-2s. And I don't know, man. It's easy to look at Blaydes getting KO'd by Tom Aspinall, blitzing forward with a clobbering right hand after a crispy jab, right? Where he gets caught with a jab and then a clobbering right behind it. Rizvan Kuniev is not replicating that. I'm sorry. Like, he's just not Tom Aspinall. It's not going to happen. Curtis Blaydes is going to be able to keep this standing. Maybe he'll even be able to get a takedown. Either way, if this is a striking battle on the feet, I've seen Curtis Blaydes handle himself in a 3-round fight against Jairzinho, who's kind of slick and more powerful than Rizvan. And again, his reach gives people problems. He was tagging up Sergey Pavlovich. You don't remember? Watch the Sergey Pavlovich fight. Curtis Blaydes was in there fucking tagging him up before he got KO'd. He's got a lot of power, okay? I think Curtis Blaydes is going to knock out Rizvan Kuniev in the first round. This is a tough debut to make. And he doesn't deserve this debut. I don't know why they're doing this. Listen, I can't lie and say that I'm not excited. Like, this is sort of an interesting matchup. I'd rather this than a Curtis Blaydes rematch with other heavyweights, but I don't know, man. It just rubs me the wrong way when these people from other promotions get in and they're just in an automatic number one contenders fight where you have people that started in the UFC and they're working their way up. They're on a 5-fight win streak and they're still not even close to a Curtis Blaydes kind of fight, you know? So, yeah. I don't know, guys. I don't think that the UFC should keep doing this. But either way, Curtis Blaydes should win this. Rizvan Kuniev is going from Eagle FC and Fajeda in PFL to Curtis Blaydes. All right. Curtis Blaydes, if he was in PFL, would knock out Fajeda 10 out of 10 times. So let's get on to the next one. Tafiq Musayev. versus Myktybek Orolbai. The wannabe hardcore fans are going to try to gaslight you into believing that this is a really interesting matchup. People have no idea Tafik Mustafayev is actually really fucking good. I can just imagine people saying that. All right. Yeah, mate. Tafik Mustafayev is a beast, mate. Right? And Tafik Mustafayev, he's actually a solid guy. I mean, this is not a can coming into the UFC. This guy's a savage. I don't care. I just watched his fight in the PFL. And you know how I always make fun of Bellator fights as being this ole 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 fest where fighters don't do shit? Please watch Tafik Musayev versus, just look up Tafik Musayev on YouTube. It's like the 1 million view PFL fight. It's like the most viewed PFL fight on the PFL's main channel. He loses the fight. He loses via body kick KO. Watch that. I promise you, okay? I'm going to describe it correctly. It is an ole 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 fest. Ole, 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 ole. And they're just staring at each other the whole time, doing fucking nothing. It is so unbelievably boring, and it's just so on par with my description of these frickin' high-level EV last name Bellator PFL fights. It fucking sucked, dude. And not only that, Tafik Musayev may have the shallowest tool bag I've ever seen. I saw this guy throw the same right hand. Just put it on 2x speed, that video, the fight. 2x speed. He throws the same right hand 13, 14, 15 times in a row with no other strikes in between. And the commentators, if there's two Russian guys, the guy that beat him was Russian. And Tafik Musayev, I don't think he's Russian. I don't know where he's from, but he's not Russian. He's got the EV, you know the region that he's from. And he's literally just, ole, 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 right hand. Ole, 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 right hand. Ole, another minute, right hand. It's the same shit, okay? He's on a win streak right now. He's beating people in Risen that are cans, okay? I don't want to hear anyone talking about, well, this is actually a really interesting one. No, it's not. It's only interesting to see how much, I guarantee you, people are going to try to hype this up like this is actually a low-key banger. Tafik Musayev is a monster. It's because of I think his record's like 24-4. And when you have an EV from that part of the world come over with a 24-4 record, and they have ole 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 fights in the PFL or Bellator, people are just like, yeah, this guy's high level. Dude, Myktybek Orolbai is going to fucking destroy this guy. Yeah, let's go! Myktybek Orolbai is going to put the fucking beats on this dude, all right? Myktybek Orolbai is an absolute savage. We've seen what he did to Uros Medic, who's actually proven in the UFC. He choked out Uros Medic and dominated him on the ground. We've seen him fight Elvis Brenner and put an absolute pace on Elvis Brenner and drop him on the deck like a fish in the third round. We saw the war with Mateusz Raumbetsky. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say Myktybek Orolbai is top 5 level in the lightweight division. I'm not going to say that, but he's at least he's at least Mateusz Raumbetsky level. Okay, Mateusz, Mytek, whatever. He's at least on that level. The guy that beat Tafik Musayev in the PFL by a body kick is getting absolutely wrecked by Elvis Brenner. He's getting wrecked by Uros Medic. Myktybek Orolbai has a crispy sweet pea special. He's got amazing pressure. He's got good power. He's got a great ability to put people up against the fence and land at will, combinations on them, and he's got the grappling. He's going to destroy Tafik. I'm sorry. This is just not going to be competitive. And if it is, Okay, the reason why I'm so passionate about this is just because I just know, because it's on the main card and Tafik Musayev has a little bit of hype because he's one of these high-level, hardcore fan type of fighters in the PFL. I'm just telling you what it's going to be. It's Myktybek Orolbai is going to finish him. So I'm going to go with Myktybek Orolbai. I'm going to say second round finish, dominant performance from Myktybek. And after this, I will be a Tafik Musayev fan. He's going to take his loss coming into the UFC. He's going to get that UFC introduction. And then, now we can root for Tafik Musayev. But now it's Myktybek Orolbai time. This is a big step down in competition. He's super well-rounded. He's a finisher. Let's not forget this guy was on everyone's top 5 best prospects of the year last year. He's taken some time off because of the war with Rounbetsky, but he's back. He beat Brenner. He beat Medic. He's a savage. He's winning this fight. Let's get on to the next one. Rafael Fiziev versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Guys, this is a really difficult fight to break down because on one hand, you have Fiziev, who slows down quite a bit in fights, is the much shorter, slightly undersized fighter for lightweight as well. And again, we know that sometimes if people force him to fight early, you can fight the ego of Fiziev. You can draw out his ego and make him expend a lot of energy, make him try to showboat in the first round to prove his machismo early, right? You can't out machismo the Muay Thai instructor that's got to be the flashiest guy in the gym, right? You can get Fiziev. You can get him to fight with his ego a little bit. And Ignacio Bahamondes, he's going to have the ability to pepper at Fiziev at range, to annoy him, to piss him off. And I could see Fiziev slowing down. However, Fiziev, we still have to be honest about this. Ignacio Bahamondes' level of competition has just not been on the same level as what we see Fiziev, okay? Fiziev is basically going to split decision after split decision with Justin Gaethje. Say what you want about Justin Gaethje, but he's proven that he's a high-level striker. He may not have the prettiest style, but he knocked out Dustin Poirier. He's a high-level striker, okay? He's effective. And what Gaethje is good at is not what Ignacio Bahamondes is good at. Gaethje is good at creating collisions, getting in the pocket, and slugging and landing big combinations, okay? Ignacio Bahamondes is someone that's good at range. And I don't really think that rangy strikers have proven to give Fiziev that much issue. And for that reason, I'm actually going to go with Fiziev. I don't know what the odds are. Let me check the odds. The odds aren't even available yet. I would imagine that this is a pretty even fight. But the reason why I'm going to go with Fiziev is because, and it's tricky because, you know, Ludovic Klein pieced up Ignacio Bahamondes, and Ludovic Klein is an inch shorter than Rafael Fiziev. But, I mean, they're basically the same frame. I wanted to look for a fight that Ignacio had against a shorter opponent, and it was Ludovic Klein that I found that whooped his ass. Pieced him up with the boxing. But the thing is, though, Ludovic Klein's boxing is better than Fiziev. Fiziev's boxing is not that good, right? He's got okay combos, but Fiziev has the Muay Thai pads combos, right? Kick and 1, 2, 3, you know, jab, right hand, left hook. That's a Fiziev combo. Jab or hook to the body, hook upstairs. He's got these Muay Thai combos. They don't have the fluidity of someone that moves and throws hands like a boxer that Ludovic Klein has. And Ludovic Klein was really hurting Ignacio Bahamondes and making him pay. And the thing is with Ignacio Bahamondes, his defense has improved. We saw him against Manuel Torres have that, you know, step back, fade away counter where he, you know, kept dropping him all over the place and then ultimately finished him. But outside of his step back counters against crazy Manuel Torres, who will leave his chin on a silver platter and just sort of jumps at you, right? Ignacio Bahamondes has a big head and he doesn't really move it a lot, right? He's got like a huge head. It's a big target, and he doesn't have the best head movement. And so if you can get in close range, I don't think he's very good in the pocket. I think that Rafael Fiziev, you could say, well, what do you mean he's not good in the pocket? He had the step back, fade away counter over Manuel Torres. Yeah, but I mean like in the pocket where where Fiziev has that natural explosive speed where he can enter the pocket real quick. I think he's going to make Ignacio pay a lot, because Ignacio, he likes a fight where he can stay at distance a little bit. He can land his long rangey shots. If you come in and you're not careful, he can step back and counter you with his right hand. Or he can throw up head kicks, and head kicks are going to be an issue for Fiziev, right? I know we remember him doing the Matrix against Mark Jacasey, but head kicks are going to be an issue for him, and they will annoy him, and they could get him to fight early, and that could expend a lot of his energy. But I think that what we're going to see is Ignacio Bahamondes is going to be peppering on the outside. He's going to be landing teeps. He's going to be landing head kicks on the guard. He's going to be landing leg kicks. He's going to be landing his jab every now and then. We're going to see Fiziev crash in and land the more damaging strikes. And I know Fiziev is not known for crazy power, and this is why I'm really worried, because I think Fiziev's power has been overrated for his entire career. After the Renato Moicano fight, everyone thought of Fiziev as this big power puncher, but like, if you look at Fiziev's fights, like especially in a fight against Justin Gaethje, and I know Gaethje hits hard, but Max Holloway was able to hurt Justin Gaethje multiple times, right? Before he knocked him out, he was able to hurt him. Charles Oliveira sent him flying. Rafael Fiziev has never once really been able to hurt Justin Gaethje with a punch. He's hurt him with a knee. He's not really hurt him with a punch. And Fiziev has these big KOs where there's knees involved and there's kicks involved, but I don't think his power is that crazy, which is why I'm worried, because I think that Ludovic Klein is a better boxer than Fiziev. He's got more fluidity to his punches and his boxing style. And Fiziev's more of a Muay Thai guy where he's got devastating kicks, but again, at the top of the lightweight division, you're not going to win a fight with just kicks to the legs. Like, you're not going to have a leg kick TKO like you would see with Jonathan Martinez at bantamweight versus a low-level guy. People can take leg kicks. Even body shots. Fiziev's body shots are nasty. You look at the fight with Justin Gaethje, he's like beating the crap out of him in the clinch, and he's landing big, powerful knees on Gaethje, but Gaethje just seems totally not affected at all. That's why I'm worried, because on one hand, I think Fiziev has the style to make Ignacio Bahamondes pay. I don't see Ignacio moving his head a lot, and I think that Fiziev has the perfect explosive style to be able to close the distance fast like Ludovic Klein and make him pay and light him up with combinations in the pocket. But at the same time, I don't know if Fiziev truly has the devastating consequences in his power to his punches that will actually carry as the fight goes on. Like, maybe it's there in the first round, but maybe second and third, as Fiziev always does, he will slow down. The power is going to deteriorate a little bit. Will that power be enough to win rounds with Ignacio Bahamondes peppering at him and keeping up high output? Like, will Fiziev get a finish? Will it even go late? I don't think so. I don't think Fiziev finishes Ignacio Bahamondes. It took him a while to finish Brad Riddell, and Brad Riddell's just, Brad Riddell was old and cobbly and wobbly. By the way, Brad Riddell's coming back to a really tough fight against that guy that just beat Jeremy Stevens. But either way, I don't think Fiziev finishes him, and that's why it's tricky, because Fiziev always slows down and his power deteriorates. His already overrated power will deteriorate. But I think that Ignacio Bahamondes is not there yet. I still think he's a little bit green. I still think he needs to build himself up a little bit more in this division. I know he's 6'3", but I think he can be a little bit more built. I know that sounds crazy, but Dan Hooker is like a more jacked version of like a tall, rangy fighter, right? Jalen Turner, I know Jalen Turner missed weight a million times, but I could still see Ignacio Bahamondes packing on a little bit of mass. And I don't mean mass just so that he can punch harder. I mean like for dynamicism, for being quick twitch and explosive. I just think Ignacio, he can school and fool these wild fighters or these low-level fighters, but against Fiziev, who's seasoned and, one of the best Muay Thai MMA fighters on earth, okay, who's got good defense, who's technically sound, who, even though he slows down, if you look at the numbers and the stats on his fights, even with Bobby Green, like that's a 3-round fight, he landed over 100 strikes in that. Fiziev, on the numbers, is looking better than Ignacio on the numbers in their fights, right? So Fiziev can land a lot of points, but the problem is, will his power carry? I know Fiziev wins the first round just based on damage. I know he will because Ignacio will get caught. His head will be on the center line and Fiziev will blitz in and catch him a bunch. I don't think he'll put him down, but I think we see Fiziev have the second and the first. And I think the crowd being behind him will make a big difference. Think about it. On short notice, Rafael Fiziev, and this is after a long layoff due to the injury, was able to come back against Justin Gaethje and basically have a split decision type of performance where it was still razor close. And that was Fiziev on a week and a half's notice after a long layoff due to a brutal injury. Now he has a full training camp. He's in his backyard. He's in Azerbaijan, his hometown, with a full training camp against a guy that has looked great. But again, you look at his wins, Torres, who's a wild man. He's a killer be killed fighter. And I don't think Ignacio is doing Rafael Fiziev like that. Rafael Fiziev just doesn't put himself in positions to get caught like that. If you're going to catch Fiziev, it's got to be in the pocket. It's got to be like, a Justin Gaethje uppercut or something like that. Or you look at his win against Jalen Turner, who just fucking threw himself into a submission. Rafael Fiziev's got great grappling, and he's a density maxer. So you're not going to take him down. And Fiziev has good wrestling. We saw that he was able to take down Justin Gaethje, put him in an inverted triangle. So we could even see Fiziev mix it up. I'm going to go with Fiziev by decision. It's only a 3-round fight. I would pick Ignacio if this was a 5-rounder. I would pick him. But because it's a 3-rounder, Fiziev's got a full training camp. I'm expecting a better version of him. And I think he's going to have the style to do what Ludovic Klein did. And I know that Ignacio has improved a lot, but I think Fiziev can still make him pay. I still see that Ignacio, he's not as fast as you would think. I don't know. You look at some of these tall, rangy strikers and you automatically give them the speed benefit. You say, oh, they're going to have the speed, right? Because they're long and rangy or whatever. But I don't know. Fiziev is clearly the faster guy in my opinion. At least that's what the eye test tells me. Ignacio has trouble moving his head. I think Fiziev will land damage in the pocket, moving Ignacio back. I think the leg kicks will always be there. He will slow Ignacio Bahamondes down. And I think Ignacio Bahamondes probably wins the third. But Fiziev should get this one done by decision. Let's get to the next one. Jamal Hill versus Khalil Rountree. Honestly, this is sort of like Fiziev versus Ignacio. This is sort of like the light heavyweight version now. I am not comparing Jamal Hill to Ignacio. I mean, Ignacio is a lot better than Jamal Hill when it comes to striking, but I mean, think about it. The way that Khalil Rountree wins this is blitzing on the inside and landing big combinations and winning rounds on damage or knocking out Jamal Hill. The way that Jamal Hill wins this is with volume, peppering at range with kicks. Jamal Hill has great kicks, good body kicks, good leg kicks, good head kicks. He will be able to make Khalil Rountree pay with those kicks. And people talk about Rountree's kicks. It's like talking about Justin Gaethje's kicks. They're never a factor. All right. I don't know why, but Khalil Rountree, ever since the Eric Anders fight, has refused to actually implement his leg kicks. It's like Aldo not throwing leg kicks after his injury, right? But Khalil Rountree doesn't have the same excuse. Same thing with Justin Gaethje. I don't think I saw Justin Gaethje throw one leg kick against Rafael Fiziev in the rematch. And people talk about Gaethje's leg kicks. You got to watch out for them. Khalil Rountree's leg kicks. This guy fought Anthony Paperleg Smith. And I think he threw less than 5 leg kicks in the entire fucking fight. So I don't know what it is. He has some of the best leg kicks and he never throws them. It's very, very annoying. So I'm not even going to count that as a factor, but we're getting too sidetracked. The way that Jamal Hill wins this fight is by outlasting Khalil Rountree, having the better gas tank because he does have a good gas tank. Even in the Yuri fight where he got finished, Jamal Hill was building as the fight went on. He won the second round. He was in Yuri's face, despite getting rocked in the beginning of the third round as well. Before he got finished, he was in Yuri's face. He was getting in the clinch. He was making it a dirty fight. Okay? Knees in the clinch, punches to the body. Jamal Hill is the grittier fighter, in my opinion. Now, Khalil Rountree proved he was very tough in his last outing against Alex Pereira. And he proved he was dangerous, and that was the best version of himself that he had ever shown. And he's super fast. He hurt Pereira. He was able to blitz in and catch Pereira multiple times. And a lot of those times it was with straight punches, straight punch combinations. And guess what? Jamal Hill just got knocked out with a bunch of straight punches against Yuri Prochazka. I know Yuri dropped him with a hook, but in the first round, it was a straight punch that he couldn't see. Okay, in the start of the third round, it was a straight punch that he couldn't see. That's why I relate this to Fiziev versus Bahamondes, because like Fiziev, Khalil Rountree, short, stocky, density maxer that has a tendency to slow down quite a bit in his fights because he's reliant on being explosive. Whereas Jamal Hill is the rangy guy that's a little flat-footed, that like Ignacio Bahamondes, not perfect. Ignacio's not like the slickest striker on the feet ever. He's very slick, but there's still some awkwardness to him. Like, he doesn't move his head, and he's not the fastest ever. Sort of has a weird build as well, sort of like Jamal Hill, built weird. And again, waddles around like a duck, very flat-footed, literally just walks around the octagon. But again, he will outlast Khalil. And this is a 5-rounder. So I'm going to go with Jamal Hill. All right. As I said, I'd pick Ignacio if it was a 5-rounder. I'm picking Jamal Hill in a 5-rounder, dude. Khalil Rountree, will he KO Jamal Hill when Jamal Hill's coming off of 2 back-to-back KOs? Maybe. And that's what worries me picking Jamal Hill. This guy has been brutally finished twice in a row. Remember, before the Alex Pereira fight, and I picked Alex Pereira to knock out Jamal Hill, but I was still saying Jamal Hill's got a really good chin. He's got a granite chin, right? But Pereira's power is different. He was able to get him out of there. Then he fought Yuri, and I was saying he's got a great chin, but Yuri's power is different, man. And Yuri got him out of there. The people that have been knocking out Jamal Hill do have built different power. Yuri Prohaska is the second most powerful guy at light heavyweight. I know Rountree's powerful. I get that. And he's explosive, but he doesn't hit like Yuri. Okay? Yuri has effortless natural power, just like Pereira. It's. I know he puts a lot into his left hook, but it's more effortless. Whereas you know why Khalil Rountree hurts someone when they're hurt. It's because it's like he's blitzing at them full sprint, and he's built. He's a dense guy. He's short and stocky, right? When Alex Pereira hits people, it's like, damn, how did that send that guy to sleep? Like, he barely touched him and he sent him to sleep, right? Or it was just a regular punch and he put him out. Khalil's kind of power, it does deteriorate. Similar to Fiziev. Like, when Fiziev hit Renato Moicano, you knew how Renato went down to such a clean, explosive combination. Wah, 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 right? But then in the third round, that wah, 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 it just slows down, man. Okay? So I think that what we're going to see is something a little bit similar to the Pereira fight. I think that it's easy to doubt Jamal Hill going into this. And this is the thing I said. The people that have knocked him out have built different power. But will it require built different power to be able to put out a guy that's just been knocked out twice in a row? And I mean, there are guys like Dominic Reyes that have been able to come back from that. And I think that Jamal Hill will be able to come back from that. He's taken off, like 6-7 months now. So I think if Jamal Hill doesn't get KO'd, I think he wins this fight. And therefore, I'm going to pick him because Rountree, as powerful as he is, I don't know if I can rely on him getting the KO every time. I mean, when's the last time he's really knocked anyone out? Anthony Smith. And, he hit Anthony with some nasty stuff in the third round, but I mean, Anthony Smith, he's got no ability to really fight out there in the third. All right, it's Anthony Smith, man. Okay? It's a sit and duck. Anthony Smith, if you knock out Anthony Smith in the first round with that same combo, okay, now we're talking. But you beat him up a little bit, you beat him up, and then you get him in the third. It's a little bit different. I think Jamal Hill gets better as fights go on. I think that even if he gets rocked, Khalil Rountree's power will not be like Yuri in the third. I think that he will eventually slow down. I think that we will see Jamal Hill either get a finish or just beat the shit out of Khalil in the later rounds. So I'm going to pick Jamal Hill to win this. And I think he'll probably get it done by a finish. I think it's going to be a lot more competitive than the Rountree and Pereira fight was. If you watch the Rountree and Pereira fight back, it wasn't as competitive as people make it out to be. Rountree in the first round arguably won, I will say that. But the second round, outside of his big moment in the second, he did lose the majority of that round. Third round, he got pieced up. Fourth round, he was just destroyed. I think we'll see a much more dominant showing from Khalil early, where he will be able to take advantage of slow Jamal Hill, who's waddling around, right? I think he'll definitely be able to take advantage of that and, again, blitz in, spin Jamal Hill's head back, maybe hurt him early. But I think that as the fight goes on and Jamal Hill's landed 15 kicks to the legs of Khalil and 15 kicks to the body, and he's thrown up a bunch of head kicks that are starting to hurt the arms of Khalil Rountree, and he's landed, with a couple of good combos, and he's starting to get the jab going. He's peppering with the jab and his reach advantage. What's the reach advantage? He's got a 2.5-inch reach advantage, right? So, and the height advantage. So he's going to be peppering at Khalil. He's going to be using the height and reach. I think the third round, we're going to see Jamal Hill, after weathering a storm, start to take over. And I think he's going to win the third, fourth, and fifth, or get himself a late stoppage. Because as I said, Khalil will slow down. And unlike lightweight, I don't think Fiziev would get finished by Ignacio Bahamondes, but I think he would lose a decision, okay, on the feet. But this ain't lightweight. These are light heavyweights. So the power, it's like if you start to take over and someone gets tired at light heavyweight, there's usually going to be a finish. So, and they're two strikers. Khalil's not going to be wrestling, so he's going to be on the feet the whole time, even if he's tired. And he took a lot of damage against Pereira. He's been knocked out in his career too. It's not like he's known for having this granite chin. It's easy to look at Khalil Rountree do so well against Pereira and look at Jamal Hill looking flat-footed and pick him. But again, it's like if he doesn't get him out of there early, he will slow down. And that even though Jamal is not that slick and fast, he is tough. He's gritty. He does have the reach and range advantage. He does have solid kicks. He does have a decent jab. He's going to start to take over. I think he gets this done by a finish. I'll say fourth or fifth round finish for Jamal Hill. I think it's a very good fight. I think it's going to be a scrap. So I'm really excited for the main event and the co-main event too. I think the co-main event's going to be razor close. I think it's going to come down to the wire. I think we could see some people saying that it's a robbery, but I think Fiziev wins the first and second round. It's going to be a very close fight. Classic Fiziev winning early, slowing down late, no finish. But that's it. I'm looking forward to this. I'm really looking forward to this. If Jamal Hill loses, that's 3 in a row for a former champion. 3 losses since Jamal Hill's return from vacating that belt because of his injury. And if Khalil wins, that would be by far the biggest win of his entire career. The biggest win of his career is what? It's hard to even think of it. Anthony Smith, that's not really the biggest one. I guess he's got Eric Anders, Anthony Smith. He lost to Jacoby. That was a robbery. This would be by a long shot the biggest win of his career, the best win. So it's a huge fight for both guys. Jamal Hill's back is against the wall. Khalil Rountree, I mean, if he can win this, he's right in the mix. One more win and he could get a title fight. So I'm excited, but I'm picking Jamal Hill by a 5th round stoppage. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time.